Footballers now in the Arab world are stars.
Anybody can, if they play their cards right, can buy a Premier League club.
And with the foreign players coming now, racism has sort of subsided a little bit.
Naathán is a complete Wigan legend. Il voit ces pays-là, le Qatar, les Émirats, qui aident, qui s'investissent dans le football.
Most people who weren't football supporters, that's how they knew what the game was about. They thought about hooliganism, so it was a major problem here.
في هذه الحلقة من روح الفريق سنلقي نظرة على الصراع العرقي الذي وصم حقبة الثمانينيات وكيف تشابكت اللعبة مع التاريخ والهوية البريطانية لنعرف ما الذي تغير في اللعبة ليجعلها أكثر شمولية، وذلك من خلال استكشاف كيف استطاع لاعبو الأقليات الوصول إلى الدوري الإنجليزي الممتاز. في خضم الجدل الدائر حول أصول كرة القدم، فإن الرياضات القديمة التي تعتمد على ركل الساحرة المستديرة يمكن تعقبها تاريخيا وصولا لحضارات الصين وروما ومصر القديمة. أما أصل اللعبة كما هي معروفة للعديد من مشجعيها حول العالم فهو بريطاني، وهناك أدلة تشير إلى أنها تمارس في بريطانيا منذ عام 1170 وتطورت مع الوقت لتصل إلى ما هي عليه اليوم. فهي اليوم تتربع على عرش الحياة والثقافة البريطانية وتدر أرباحا طائلة تفوق $2.5 مليار جنيه استرليني سنويا.
I'm Nathan Ellington and I'm a British football player. I embraced Islam back in 2004 and in this episode I'm going to be looking at the British football culture. From the Premiership players to the fans, I'm going to be exploring how the British football culture has evolved and how Arabs and Muslims have played their part. Today, Britain prides itself on having world-class landmarks such as this National Football Museum here in Manchester. It's played a pivotal role on documenting the history of the game, and I think it's added so much value to this much-loved British sport, and as a result, it's become a major attraction for millions of British football fans. So what I'm here today to do is really look into the history of what the players have done of old, and also the culture of the fans. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to look into the timeline of what was happening in the 80s and the 90s. So let's see. As you can see, that there's a very few ethnic minorities here, especially Arabs and Muslims. So I'll look into the 2000s and 2010. To be honest, there's not many here at all. There's only a few ethnic minorities, let alone Arabs or Muslims. But we know today there's a lot of football players within the game that are doing really well, and hopefully they'll be part of the Hall of Fame.
Now got gas. Charlie Austin. Oh, fantastic! Brilliantly done. A goal out of absolutely nothing.
أصبحت بريطانيا اليوم أكثر استيعابا للتنوع العرقي، وأصبحت الأمور أقل صعوبة على لاعبي الأقليات، وأخذ دورهم بالصعود، وهم يساهمون بشكل إيجابي في التعدد الثقافي الكروي البريطاني المتنامي، ليتجاوزوا مدرجات الملعب ويصبحوا كناثان مثلا أعلى يحذى حذوه داخل الملعب وخارجه من خلال دعم مجتمعاتهم والقضايا الخيرية المهمة.
I'm now just arriving at the match. I've been invited down to the Wigan Athletic Legends game to support leukemia, and you know, I think it's always good to support charities like this. So definitely something that us as football players, because we can reach so many people, you know, we can definitely you know, be role models for the youth and for many others.
You ready now?
Naathán is a complete Wigan legend. It's called the Duke for a reason. You know why it's called the Duke? Because he's Wigan Athletic's best goal scorer for 3 years.
I think he's a fantastic role model, Naathán. He's always got a smile on his face, and he's if you want a picture taken with him, he'll always agree. He'll never turn you away. Yeah, I think he's a great player.
سطع نجم ناثان عندما انضم إلى نادي ويغان عام 2002 حيث لعب فيه ل3 مواسم متتالية ووصفها بأنها أفضل المواسم في مسيرته الكروية المحترفة. سجل خلالها وفي موسمه الأول 22 هدفا ليفوز الفريق بالدوري ويتأهل للبطولة للمرة الأولى في تاريخه وليتوج ناثان كهداف للدوري. سيبدأ ناثان رحلته بلقاء صديقه ولاعب الكرة السابق جيسون جاريت الذي يعرفه منذ عام 2002 وقد انضم كلاهما إلى ويغان أثلتيك في الوقت نفسه ليتعرف أكثر على التحديات التي واجهتها الأقليات العرقية في الثمانينيات والتسعينيات وكيف تغيرت الأمور الآن من وجهة نظره كلاعب من الأقليات.
Yeah, Joe, you remember the days when, you know, we got started at Wigan, you know, what it was like for us?
Yeah. We were both young at the time. I think you was 20, and I was 22.
Yeah.
And I think I was just nearly 23, so I think we were both kind of young, a little bit naive. The first big club we went to, yeah, it was good times.
It was great. Obviously, we lived in the same building together, so that was fun.
I remember it, yeah. I used to come around, I used to cook for you a little bit, because you were a terrible cook. Used to play a lot of computer games. Generally just enjoy yourselves, travelling together. It was good.
Okay. What about the challenges that the ethnic minorities faced from the 18s and 90s and how they changed today? And what is your take on that?
Black people in football, there's plenty of them and it's widely accepted, but I don't think there's still not enough Muslim players in the Premier League. We don't see enough of that really, and that's kind of still a bit strange if you really think about the population of Muslims around the world.
ولد ناثان في برادفورد عام 1981 وهو العام الذي شهدت خلاله المدينة أعمال الشغب الشهيرة ولأنه ترعرع في جنوب لندن فقد قاس المصاعب التي قد تواجه أي شاب من الأقليات السوداء في المجتمع البريطاني خلال تلك الفترة التي اجتاحتها موجات عنف في المراكز الحضرية نفس من خلالها شباب الأقليات السوداء عن سخطهم وغضبهم من المجتمع إزاء الأوضاع الاقتصادية والسياسية التي ازدادت تعقيدا وصعوبة عليهم خاصة في كنف حكومة حزب المحافظين التي تم انتخابها عام 1979.
The morning after your election, how do you feel about it now?
We're perfectly all right. Perfectly all right. There's so much to be done. Thank you. Thank you.
This is where it all started, when I was 16 years of age. You know, I was used to playing on parks and fields
This was the first proper stadium that I played at. And shortly after that, I moved to Walton and Hersham, which was a 1-hour drive from my home. So much has changed since I was last here. You know, we now have seated areas and no longer all standing. We now have a canteen inside the stadium, and we also have a football field, you know, with such quality, so much better to play on. I was lucky to live at a time and grow up at a time where those racial barriers were pretty much non-existent. You know, I grew up and I played with so many different people of different ethnic minorities, and to be honest, I was so oblivious to, you know, Islam and Muslims. It was all really about playing the game of football.
سيقصد ناثان ليستر التي كانت إحدى المدن البريطانية التي شهدت ظاهرة عنف شغب كرة القدم ليلتقي برياض خان، وهو مشاغب ملاعب سابق، وليتعرف أكثر على هذه الثقافة وما الذي شد شباب الأقليات إليها خلال الثمانينيات.
So Riaz, talk to me a little bit about your experience as a Muslim hooligan.
I was born and bred in Leicester, and I was born and bred in Leicester in the 1960s, and what happened was, in those times there was a lot of racism, a lot of hatred for Asians and blacks, because of immigration and because of Enoch Powell's speech, Rivers of Blood speech. And as I was growing up through school, I was always put to one side as a packy, as a dirty Asian, you know, smelly packy and stuff like, you know, the rhetoric they used to give us all the time, you know, racism and whatever. And as I was growing up, I went through a lot of racism, a lot of abuse, and I didn't feel like I was part of any society. I mean, growing up as an Asian person in white society, being bullied for being who I was, I started rejecting my own culture, rejecting my own ethnicity. I used to come home and say to my parents, you know, why are we Asian? I mean, why did you make us Asian? That's how bad it was. Because at school, I went to school with predominantly white kids. But because Leicester was a unique sort of area, Leicester was very, very unique. We had a lot of Asians and a lot of blacks and a lot of whites all together. At first, it was a lot of aggression towards us, but we broke down a lot of barriers, a lot of racial barriers were broken down through this casual movement. There was a subculture, it was called the casuals, and we broke it down, and we was accepted. Within a couple of years, we was all accepted. Well, this is where I live, bruv. I've been here for about 10 years now. Nice little area. The masjid's not far from here. It's about 2 minutes walk. The school's down the road, around the corner. My wife works down the road. And it's all convenient where we live. It's quite convenient, yeah. So Nathan, here we are. Welcome to my house. This is brother Nathan, Jamal.
Assalamu alaikum.
It's my family.
How are you all?
There's three of them, but the oldest lad's not here at the moment. He's gone to play football, I believe.
Okay, okay.
He'll be here soon.
Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm
He's a professional footballer. He used to play for Wigan and West Brom, wasn't it?
Yeah.
He scored many goals. Loads of goals.
I've played a few times at Leicester City Football Club as well. So. What do you feel about his, you know, the past that he had and what he's like today, you know?
His past, I think sometimes people just leave it in the past, and that's what he did, and it's really good. You changed, didn't you? You changed as I met him. He decided that he wanted to change his life, and then we just together just made that happen, didn't we?
Okay.
So it's been good.
This is way back in 1984. Consider the multicultural element of our crew.
Yeah.
This was with the baby squad. There's me, there's my brother Yusuf, Balva. There's all these other Asian guys. Boner, black lad. There's Walbrook. And you got all the other white lads there. See the multicultural element of our gang.
Amazing.
Yeah, that's how it was. I mean, we were the only crew in the whole of England that was like this. When we had the Birmingham Zulu Warriors, they were mostly black and white. But our fam had a lot of Asians in there as well.
I wouldn't even have told that was you.
Yeah, that's me. I had long hair then. As you can see the cover of my book, that's what I look like now. To what I look like now.
Okay.
Yeah. One thing that made us join together, that was Leicester City football ground, football team.
Yeah, and it really broke the barriers of racism.
Yeah, it did, yes, it did. I mean, we all loved each other, we was like brothers. It was really weird because we were all from different backgrounds, different cultures. We all, you know, got on so well.
That's the positive side of it, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. African guy, he's from France, I don't know which team he was from. We've got a Japanese guy.
By meeting Riaz, I'm intrigued.
I want to understand how hooligan firms started to emerge and associated themselves with clubs such as Leicester City, and to discuss the roots of this behaviour and how hooliganism became intertwined with the football culture.
Nathan, hi.
How are you?
Good. Come in. These are some press cuttings from the 1980s. It gives you a sense of how serious the issue was because of this story here about an attack on police officers, sometimes getting attacked, and of course fans getting injured. Look at him. I mean, you got injured on the field. These guys were getting seriously injured off it sometimes.
So John, I've come here today to find out a little bit more about the hooliganism which happened in the 80s. I actually had an interview with Riaz Khan earlier as well, and he gave me a lot of insight into why he became part of this tribe. So I'm come to you to find out a little bit more about it.
Well, you've come to the right place to talk about hooliganism because we had a centre here that focused on the problem of hooliganism. It was a major problem in the 1980s. Gang cultures developed around the game. Rival gangs with their own identities struggled around football matches, and there was a major crisis in the mid-1980s because of terrible incident at Heysel at the European Cup final in 1985. 39 people died. English clubs were banned from Europe, and most people who weren't football supporters, that's how they knew what the game was about. They thought about hooliganism, so it was a major problem here.
ومع أواخر الثمانينيات وبحلول التسعينيات شهدت بريطانيا تدفقا للعرب الفارين من الحروب والصراعات في الشرق الأوسط، والقادمون الجدد كانوا شديدي المحافظة على ثقافتهم وهويتهم، ولم تكن مسألة الوجود والانخراط في المجتمع البريطاني ورياضاته السائدة هاجسا للعديد منهم، فالأولوية بالنسبة لهم كانت مسألة البقاء والتمسك بهويتهم الأم.
I'm going to meet Miss Baria Al-Mudin, who is a prominent and award-winning journalist and broadcaster in the Middle East and the UK. She is also the editor of Media Services Syndicate and the foreign editor of Al Hayat.
So Miss Baria, I came here to really find out from you what it was like for the Arabs in the 80s and the 90s, when they came over here.
Most Arabs that are here, as you know, were not even in the British system at the very beginning. It was only in 2001 that some Arabs started saying, we are not even recognized as an ethnic group. In 2011, the country now has something called Arab British as an ethnic group. They are now recognized.
I'm a football player, and I can't go for an interview without talking about football. So what was it like for the Arab families? Did they encourage their children to get into sports and football?
Footballers now in the Arab world are stars, and indeed they are gaining a lot of money. They're gaining stardom like in the Western world. So it has moved. The sports has moved. In Lebanon, football has always been good, but big as well. But it wasn't as such in the Arab world. It wasn't something that you wanted your child to be. You wanted him to be a doctor or an engineer or a mathematician, but not a footballer. But I think now they all want their children to be footballers, to be tennis players, to be... I must say sports has moved on in the Arab world as such.
So this is the statue that was made in memory of Michael Jackson by Mohammed Al-Fayed. He was actually the first Arab foreign owner to own a British football club. So when the new owners took over, they actually requested that the statue be removed, and Mohammed Al-Fayed kindly donated the statue to the museum. I would have loved to have met with him, but he's not in the country, but we have managed to meet with Michael Cole.
So Michael, why do you think, an Egyptian man, Mohammed Al Fayed, took over a club like Fulham?
Mohammed was always fascinated by football. When he was a child in Alexandria, growing up with his brothers, they used to play football on the beach. They used to take their dog with them. Now, they were young. In the Second World War, there was a big British barracks near where they lived. And the soldiers and the Royal Marines used to come and play with them on the beach. This was their everyday game.
So what do you think is the importance of Arabs investing in football clubs?
I think it's important. The Premier League in particular, anybody can, if they play their cards right, can buy a Premier League club, whether they're from America or whether they're from the Gulf. The important thing is that the owners show interest. Mohammed always went on the pitch. He knew the fans, he spoke to the fans, he interacted with the fans, and that was what they wanted.
مستعرضا تجربته الخاصة، سيسلط ناثان الضوء على التغيرات التي طرأت على ثقافة اللعبة ونظرة البريطانيين للاعبين الأجانب اليوم.
Darren Carter is someone who joined West Bromwich Albion at the exact same time as me when we went to the Premiership. And, he's a person that I was very close with. How do you feel as, a British football player with more Arabs, buying the football clubs here?
Yeah, I think it's great because these guys are coming into to football clubs and giving the clubs money to spend not only on players but on other aspects, so the youth, development of the grounds and so on. So for a fan of them clubs, it must be very exciting. On the other hand, sometimes I think maybe is it fair, because you have got your sort of Manchester Cities and these sort of teams that are able to go out and buy these big stars and pay the money, and then puts other people at, other teams at a disadvantage. So maybe football needs a sort of a revamp in that sense, maybe capping teams to, spending so much money. But, all in all, I think it's great because they come in and they change the clubs for the better, and invest money into the club, and especially the youth as well. I like to see, the youth coming through.
As Britain has become more diverse, the culture of football has become more tolerant towards the increasing number of foreign players recruited by the Premier League. Arune Kone, he actually joined Wigan Athletic after I left, and it'll be very interesting to get his take on what it's like to be a Muslim in the Premiership.
Et voir ces pays-là, le Qatar, les Émirats, qui aident, qui s'investissent dans le football, c'est vraiment bien. Et on a vu que ces dernières années, le fait qu'ils soient rentrés dans le football, dans le sport en général, le niveau est monté d'un cran. Et aujourd'hui, le championnat anglais est vu par tout le monde. C'est le meilleur championnat du monde actuellement. Grâce à eux aujourd'hui, il y a encore des clubs qui sont en train de grandir. Ils ont investi et nous, c'est tant mieux pour les joueurs que nous sommes. Et on se sent bien et c'est quand même quelque chose d'agréable. Et ça, il faut le reconnaître, ils ont beaucoup investi dans le football. Et grâce à eux, le football est en train d'atteindre un niveau encore plus élevé.
تعكس العلاقة المتغيرة بين الأقليات العرقية واللعبة منذ فترة الثمانينيات وحتى يومنا هذا تطور الإرث الكروي البريطاني، حيث كان لشمولية ملاعبه صدى في تعددية المجتمع البريطاني المتنامية، ليصبح مع الوقت أكثر تقبلا للاعبين من الأجانب والأقليات العرقية. فبعد بضعة عقود صاخبة يبشر هذا القرن بعهد من التعددية الثقافية والتعايش. ترى ما هي خلاصة رحلة ناثان وكيف يرى اللعبة اليوم؟
During this episode, I went on a journey and I learned a lot. From interviewing ex-hooligan Riaz Khan to Professor John Williams, Arune Kone and other football players, I recognise that it's much more accepting now for Muslim players within the British football. With Arabs now taking over football clubs and other foreign players coming to England, it's no longer about, your race or your religion or where you're from. It's now all about what you do on the football field.